I've got plenty of time.
Alistair, you ready to go? Alistair? The live hiring event is in like 5 minutes. Where could he be?
We're Avant. We help nurses move to the U.S. and secure an employment-based visa.
We're Avant. We're going to help prepare you for the NCLEX, and we're going to coordinate your travel to the testing center if needed.
We're Avant. We're going to help nurses prepare for their English exams for visa screen purposes, so there's one less thing you have to worry about.
We're Avant. We're going to do all the complicated immigration and licensure paperwork for nurses.
We're Avant. We're going to provide clinical and cultural transition support, so the only thing you have to worry about is enjoying your new home.
Hey man, aren't you supposed to be at the live hiring event?
Starts at 12, I've got plenty of time.
No man, it starts at 11.
I would say for me personally, I don't have a preference whether it's 1 page or 2 page, as long as the information is succinct and clear. So if you have been working at 10 different hospitals, I would like to see all of that.
Yeah.
And if it takes you 2 pages to write that out, that's totally fine. What I would prefer not to see is elaboration for the sake of filling up space.
Alistair! Come on, Alistair, we're gonna be late.
I'll be there. Come on, come on.
Wanted a career with opportunities for growth and development. I choose Avant because of its excellent reputation and credibility in the industry. I was impressed by how they provide high quality services. Now that I'm here in the US, I wanted to advance my skills. I wanted to become a nurse practitioner someday. What I love about Avant is that they provide a comprehensive transition program which will prepare you cultural and clinical aspects in your new role.
What's the most important thing that an international healthcare professional needs to know at this stage?
So at the interview stage, we're going to be talking to you about your work experience, about your, if you've done the NCLEX, if you've done the IELTS. We're trying to get an understanding of what your experience looks like and what your goals are professionally, personally. What's important to you? Who are you planning to bring with you to the U.S.? Have you thought about the transition for your family? We want to talk to you about such important things to make sure that we're a good fit for what you're looking for, and also that you're a good fit for us and the clients that we have here in the U.S. And so one of the pieces of advice I always say, something that's so important, is to be honest and to be yourself. Be authentic, yes, display professionalism, all those things are important, but everyone is so individual and has such special dreams and has a different personality. I have to have my IELTS and NCLEX in order to apply with Avant. Myth, you can absolutely apply with Avant Healthcare Professionals even if you haven't already passed NCLEX or IELTS. We're happy to consider your application. I can't bring my family with me to the USA if I move there to work as a registered nurse. Myth, you absolutely can include your family on the green card petition that is filed by Avant as long as it is a legally married spouse and or children under the age of 21 before arriving to the US.
Emily, come on, we gotta hurry.
There you guys are. You guys ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. Lights and sound are all set. Wardrobe's good. We're ready to go.
Let's do it.
When I finished my contract with Avant Healthcare, I felt more prepared to live my life as an RN here, a registered nurse here in the United States. I built up lifelong connections that helped me out on this new process. I felt more confident, and then after the contract, I was able to travel around the United States. I had an experience to work in Maine, New York, Massachusetts, and now I'm here in Florida.
We ready to go?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. We are so excited to see you guys. I'm Alistair and I'm joined here with Anna.
Hey everyone.
We cannot wait to get to all of the amazing things we're going to go to today. We're going to talk everything the Avant process. We're going to talk about the immigration process. We're going to have a guest from our Avant English program. We're going to learn all things about NCLEX, and we may even have the chance to win a few prizes as well. So live hiring event, very special time of the year for us. We love seeing all of your applications coming in, and our recruitment team are working really, really hard on it right now. You can see them. There we are, getting ready for your call. They're just waiting for your application.
Yeah, so if you haven't already submitted one, make sure to apply today. If you apply during this live hiring event, you might actually have a chance to get interviewed today.
Wow.
And even maybe even the offer.
Ooh, that depends on you though. You've got to get that application in. Make it happen. Today is the day. Absolutely. All right. Yes. So we are live on YouTube, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook. If you haven't already, send the link to your friends, get everybody in here. We're going to be here for around the next hour. We can't wait to go through everything with you. So what I want to hear first, let's see, everybody who's out there, well, I want you to comment in the chat, whether it's on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are. Tell us where you're coming from. We want to see where we're getting our audience from tonight. So let's have a look. Ooh, okay, get those comments in. Oh, I think I see some on YouTube. I think I saw Ghana. Yep. Okay, fantastic.
India.
Kenya, Margaret from Kenya's in the house. Fantastic.
Esther from Nigeria. Hey, everyone.
Esther from Zimbabwe. Fantastic. Hey, Pakistan's in the house. Ghana. Woo. Wow, it's like the United Nations out there. We're getting everybody in here. India's in the house. Hey, Karanveer. Good to see you. UK. Wait, UK's in the house.
You hear a familiar accent, don't you?
I like it. I like to see it. Fantastic. Wow. All right. Lovely. Zambia. The Philippines, of course. Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys. We are so ready to get going, shall we?
Yes, let's start.
Absolutely. All right. So, first things first, people want to know who we are, right? Yeah. This may be your first time coming across Avant, coming across what we do. So, let's spend a little bit of time to tell you what we do and who we are.
Yeah, so we are Avant Healthcare Professionals. We're one of the leading staffing agencies specializing in internationally educated healthcare professionals. So if you are a registered nurse looking to move to the United States and work as a registered nurse, you are definitely in the right place. We've been around since 2003, and we were actually originally founded by a registered nurse. And even to this day, we are still led and managed by a plethora of registered nurses.
Absolutely.
So a lot of really good insight on the team. We are headquartered here in sunny Orlando, Florida.
That's right.
With over 200 dedicated employees to help you through every single stage of your USRN journey. Every single nurse who joins our program will receive that personalized support through each and every step of the process. So really there's no lack of support. There's no shortage of information that our team can help you with. And really, yeah, you kind of have a hand held throughout each and every step of the process.
That's right. That level of support really is what makes Avant. It really is from the day you apply right up until even the end of your contract. Yeah. It really is important for us to make sure that you get the support that you need from start to finish. So support is one thing, and also just general trustworthiness and ethics. It's a really important part of what we do. Yeah. We know that, out there, keeping an eye out for red flags and things like that, it's a big important thing. So we want to make sure that you feel like you are making the right decision.
Yeah. And so here at Avant, we do pride ourselves in being very ethical and trustworthy. There's quite a few reasons or things that you would want to look into when you're trying to find the right agency. One thing about us is we are a member of the Alliance Certified Ethical Recruiters with CGFNS. We are also Joint Commission certified, so healthcare staffing certification through them. And we're also a founding member of the American Association of International Healthcare Recruitment. And so we have a lot of people on our team that are a part of that, and help making sure that not only Avant but other agencies as well are following those ethical practices when recruiting international nurses.
Exactly. So if you're concerned about doing it the right way, the right way is with us.
Yes.
Absolutely. If we do say so ourselves.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, so that's a little bit about us.
Yep.
So let's talk in a little bit more detail about what our process looks like.
Yeah.
We'll get to, first things first. We want to get to a little bit about why you need to apply today.
Yeah.
And what happens once you apply today.
Yeah. So we have a little roadmap planned out for you that we want to walk you through. And so one of the very first things, as you can imagine, would be submitting an application. So to join the Avant program, the very first step is that hiring process. So again, if you have not already applied, make sure to submit that application today. To do so, you just visit our website, submit the application, make sure you have an updated CV or resume. And once we receive your application, our team will review all of the details there. So things that we look at would be things like your education, where you're working, any sort of additional certifications or credentials that you might have, to see if you meet the requirements needed to work as a registered nurse here in the US with our clients. So after your application is reviewed, hopefully you'll move on to the next stage of the hiring process, which is the interview process. So again, our recruiters are here today. They are on the phones right now interviewing candidates. With our process, there are 2 interviews. So there's a program interview and there's a clinical interview. Program interview is going to be covering a lot of what you see here on the roadmap. We like to talk about all the different steps of the process and how it will relate and affect you as an individual. And so we want to understand, what your thoughts are about NCLEX. If that's something that you've already started the process for, an English exam may be required. So we want to see how you feel about that. And then talk a little bit about the timeline, expectations, if you're bringing family, what that looks like with immigration. So really it's like an in-depth program conversation within an interview. Then you have a clinical interview. So of course, as a nurse, a big part of what you do is in a healthcare setting. And we want to understand a little bit about what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. So you're a registered nurse recruiter, so you will actually be speaking with another RN. We'll ask you questions about the type of work you do, like how big your hospital is, what the setup of your unit is, what kind of cases you see, and maybe some scenario questions as well. So that's kind of what the interview process looks like. And if after all the interviews, our team determines that you seem like you're a great fit for the Avant program and you feel like you want to join the Avant family, you will be extended a contract, and then you have some time to review that and sign. And so if you do decide to sign and join the Avant family, we'll collect all the documents that we need for all the rest of the stages of this process.
Fantastic. So I've signed my contract. Yes. I'm now a member of the Avant family. What happens next?
So next step really depends on where you're at with your NCLEX. So if you are somebody who's already passed the NCLEX, amazing. A lot of hard work gets put into doing NCLEX on your own. So you would get to skip that next step, which is the NCLEX and licensure stage.
Absolutely.
But for those of you who haven't taken the NCLEX yet, that will be your very first focus. And so NCLEX and licensure here at Avant is done simultaneously. So when we say NCLEX, we're talking about our NCLEX team, which will actually help you prepare for the NCLEX exam. Those of you who might not know, NCLEX in the US is the nursing licensure exam. It's a test that every single aspiring registered nurse in the US has to take to get their registered nursing license. And we do have a special guest coming later today who will be speaking more about the NCLEX review. But just to give you a little taste, our NCLEX review is in-house. It's about 7 months long. We provide all the study material and support to help prepare you for the exam. And then when it comes time to take the exam, we will also cover the cost for the travel, the accommodation, and the test itself. So really with our NCLEX review, you get to focus on the studying, which is kind of the hard part, because our licensure team will be working behind the scenes to make sure all your paperwork is submitted, all the logistics are in place so that you can just really have a smooth testing experience.
That's right. And as we said, if you are interested in that whole NCLEX aspect, stick around because we will have a guest from our NCLEX team who's going to talk all things NCLEX. And we may even throw in a few practice questions as well. So we're looking forward to that. So we've done our NCLEX. We're getting ready. So then what's next?
So NCLEX is, of course, a very important part because it's what gets you your license, but it's also important because it's kind of the thing that unlocks your ability to start the immigration process.
Okay, the immigration process. Now, I know, having spoken to a lot of nurses, the immigration process is a hot topic right now.
Yes,
There's a lot of discussion around that. So, can you tell us a little bit about what's our philosophy when it comes to the immigration process? How do we work through the immigration process?
Yeah, so we call it an immigration process, of course, but really at Avant, our philosophy is that it's a commitment, right? So if you join the Avant program, we have a commitment to you that we're going to work through any sort of immigration delays, visa processing delays, whatever might come our way, because we think that your goal of becoming a USRN is worth it. And so immigration can be one of those things where the timeline kind of ebbs and flows, and it's oftentimes based on things that are out of our control. But our philosophy really is to stick with the nurses that are on our program, because once you're on the Avant program, you're family, and you don't leave family behind. And so we don't drop nurses just because there's retrogression or visa delays. We're really with you through it to the end.
So you mentioned a word there. I know it's on everybody's lips. So let's talk a little bit about retrogression. So for those who haven't heard of retrogression before, or for those who aren't quite familiar with it, what is retrogression? What does that mean?
So the easiest way that I like to explain what retrogression is it's essentially when there are more people applying for visas to enter the U.S. than the U.S. has visas available to offer.
Okay.
So when there's not enough visas to offer, it kind of creates a line, and it creates kind of a delay. And so that's essentially what retrogression is. And the U.S. is currently in a state of retrogression for the visa types that we file.
Okay, interesting. So if I'm a registered nurse, if I'm making my application and I'm in that visa process, how do I know that retrogression is happening? How do I check that out? Yeah,
so there is something that's released by the U.S. Department of State every month called the Visa Bulletin. So if we can pull that up, perfect. So here on the screen, you see a little snippet. If you just Google or whatever search engine you use, type in U.S. Visa Bulletin, scroll down, and this is the chart that you'll find. So to find the correct one that you want to see as a registered nurse applying for a green card to the U.S., you'll want to scroll until you see the employment preferences, and you'll want to find this chart A titled Final Action Dates. So first, I just want to kind of describe what we're seeing here. So on the left-hand side, you see a column called employment-based. So again, this is the type of visa that we file. Registered nurses are categorized in the category 3, or the third category. So when you hear the phrase EB3, we're talking about this type of visa. So it files to a green card, which is permanent residency. So now that we know kind of what row we're looking at the columns to the left, that's going to describe a country of birth. So if you were born in China, India, Mexico, Philippines, your date there might look a little different, but if you're not born in those countries, you would fall under the first category of all chargeability, except those listed. So based on your country of birth, that's super important. We get this question a lot too, like, oh, well, maybe I moved to the UK and I have a UK passport. Can I use that? Unfortunately, this is going by your country of birth, which can't be changed, right? So back to the chart. So you see that there are dates there. So we've highlighted those to try to make it as easy as possible. This is the actual Visa Bulletin for July of 2025. So how do we read this? If we look at the all chargeability column here, you see that it says 01 APR 23. So that is read as the 1st of April, 2023. So when we say that there's a retrogression, we know that there's a retrogression because there is a date in this field. If there was a C in this field,
like you can see on the below bits,
that means that they are current, which means there are no delays. That means if you apply for a visa, there's a visa that's ready to be issued. But for those dates that are listed, you would have had to have a priority date, which is essentially your place in line. You get a priority date once your visa application is sent out to the immigration department. So if your priority date is before the date listed in the Visa Bulletin, then you are eligible to receive your visa. So for anybody who applied for a visa before April 1st, 2023, that isn't in those other countries listed on that Visa Bulletin, you would be eligible for a visa now. If your priority date is after that date, then you're just waiting in line for a little bit more.
Absolutely. And those dates do move.
Yes, they do.
So it won't stay like that forever. And, it is really, really important for you to get your application in as soon as possible, because you don't want to be left behind when that date comes along. You want to get in the queue as early as possible.
Exactly. And I think that there might be some of you out there now that are sitting and thinking, wow, 2023, should I even start now if the delay is that long? And that is the exact mindset you want to have, is think of it as a line. If you see a long line, and at the end of that line is this dream that you've been waiting for your whole life, and you know that you want what's at the end of that line, it's much better to get in the line, start waiting, than to
wait for the line to get longer.
Exactly. It might get longer. Yeah, exactly. So there's really no better time to start than now, because time is going to pass regardless. And so while time is passing, it's better to be in that line working towards your dream than to be off to the side. Because guess what? 2 years from now, that Visa Bulletin might say 2025. Hopefully, it says 2025 soon.
Fingers crossed.
But that means that when that time comes, you are the one at the front of the line, and the people who decided to wait because they were scared of that line, or they, thought maybe, hopefully, that it would get shorter, they're going to be still waiting when you are ready to achieve your dreams. So.
And not only that, but retrogression is pretty much the normal state of things. We've been in business for over 20 years. And most of the time that we've been operating has been under a state of retrogression.
Yeah.
So it's something we're familiar with. We've worked through it before. We'll continue to work through it. We're not worried about it, so you don't get worried about it.
Yeah, and the thing with retrogression too is it doesn't mean that your case is canceled. It doesn't mean that it's getting dropped. And like I said in the beginning, our philosophy is to, it's a commitment, and so it's to stay with you through the end. So regardless of what retrogression looks like, regardless of how long the delay is, we will be with you each and every step of the way.
That's right. So during the immigration process, I'm sure we've got a lot of other things that we need to get through. So let's take a look at that roadmap. What else have we got on the list for us?
Yeah, so for most nurses who apply to come to the United States, an English proficiency exam will be a requirement. And we usually have you work on that once your immigration has been filed. So that's the nice thing too. It's immigration is kind of the first thing that happens after NCLEX, so that we can get you that place in line.
That's right.
And then all the other things that we need to get done will follow after. So English proficiency exam, let's talk about it. So
absolutely.
There are quite a few different exams that are eligible to be taken. There's about 7, I think.
7. We'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Yes. So you do need to pass an English proficiency exam to get what's called a Visa Screen certificate. So some of you may actually have to take an English exam before you take the NCLEX. Your recruiter will discuss what the requirements are based on your individual situation. But most registered nurses will be able to take the English exam now after immigration. And so here at Avant, we actually have an Avant English program. So we have a team that can help you review for whichever exam that you choose to take. We do have some really comprehensive review programs. And so we'll help you prepare. Taking an English exam, yes, it's a requirement as part of the process, but understanding the English language and feeling confident with it is also just a really big benefit. And I would dare to say requirement,
yes,
to be successful as a registered nurse in the U.S. You know how important it is to be able to quickly understand doctors' orders and to relay information to your patients and your colleagues. So we'll help you with whatever studies that you need to prepare for the English exam. And
that's right. And so you mentioned it just briefly there. So absolutely, the English requirement is a requirement. It's something that you got to focus on. But clinically, you've got to be ready. You've got to be ready to go. So our pre-arrival clinical education is also a really big part of the process too.
Yeah. So this is something extra that Avant offers to its nurses. It's kind of like an online module type program, and so what you'll do is you'll be assigned a series of modules to study. There will be some general nursing type topics, but then there will also be some that are focused on whatever specialty that you are going to be working in here in the U.S. And so what the pre-arrival clinical education program does, or PACE as we like to call it, helps you really prepare for what work and will be like as a registered nurse here in the U.S. So yes, you are a registered nurse now. You are working in your home country. Yes, by this point, you've already passed the NCLEX, so you have learned a lot about U.S. nursing practices. But this is really just to kind of bridge additional information from how you practice as a nurse in your country to how you'll be practicing here. So it is self-paced. You get to study on your own time. You just have to finish the modules before you arrive in the United States.
Absolutely. And so then it's time for that placement. It's time to find out where we're going to be working for the next couple of years of our life.
Yeah.
So really big part of that. So once you found that client, once you found where you're going to be working, what happens next?
Well, so first I want to talk a little bit about how the placement works,
Absolutely.
just because I think that this is something that gets a little confusing for nurses. So I like to kind of break it down into 3 parts. So when you're about 6 months away from coming to the US, that's when we start looking at your client placement options. So we're going to ask you, okay, where do you want to live and work in the United States? So we'll take your top preferences and we'll check them out. We'll see, okay, do we have open positions for the specialty that you're working in? So I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a clinical interview during the hiring process. We'll do an updated clinical assessment at this point, really to figure out what the best fit is for you. And so once we have a placement available, or we know what kind of specialty, we'll look at where we have open positions. So if we have an open position in the state that you want to work in, great, we'll set you up for an interview. So the final step there is for you to actually interview with the client. But again, we help you through all of this. So we will help you with things like interview prep. You'll get some mock interviews to really get all those jitters out, because this will be your very first actual American job interview, right? Like with an American client. And so we'll help you get set up for that. And if the client that you interview with feels like you're a great fit, boom, that's where you'll be working. And so then once we have your client placement, now we can start preparing you for your US arrival.
Fantastic. So then comes the exciting bit. You've got your green card, or you've got your visa ready to go. You've packed your bags and you're flying all the way over to the USA. So part of our program, one of my favorite things to talk about is our US transitions program. So that is a full 4.5-week program that takes place here in Orlando. So in that time, you're going to have in-person and online classes all about everything you need to know about culturally assimilating into the US and clinically as well. So those in-person clinical classes, really, really important to make sure you're as comfortable as possible once you get onto assignment. So during that time here, you're going to meet a lot of friends. You're going to make a lot of friends with nurses just like you, and you're going to learn all sorts of important things, like how do I navigate the US banking system and things like that. There's a lot of really important topics in there. Not only that, you're going to have your own dedicated cultural support specialist who's going to give you one-on-one advice about budgeting, about finding housing, about all sorts of important topics like that. So you are really going to feel that support right from the minute that you land.
Yeah. I always like to say, think about how hard it is to kind of move down the street or to a different city in your own home country, and then exponentially difficult or different to move to a different country. So it's really, really great to have that support and guidance.
Yeah. When I moved here, I would have loved to have a cultural support specialist, so you're very lucky to get one. And then after you finished your time in Orlando, it's off to your assignment.
Yeah, time to start working as a USRN and really realize those dreams that you've had for the many years before. And so again, if this is something that you are dreaming of, you want to work as a registered nurse here in the United States, today is the day that you should take that very first step. Submit your application, apply now, start that journey so you can get on the road and reach that finish line of coming here to the US to work.
If you were looking for a sign, this is it. You can see our recruitment team right there. They are on the phones. They are ready to go. They're just waiting for you. They're literally just waiting for you. So get that application in. We can't wait to see you here ASAP. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. So first things first, we've talked about how the process works. Let's talk about the why. So why would you want to come to the US, and why would you pick Avant?
So I think a lot of nurses have different reasons for why they want to come to the US. So I know all of you tuning in right now, you're sitting there probably thinking about your why. So I'd love for you to drop that in the chat while we talk a little bit about, why Avant might be the route you want to go. But why nurses decide to choose Avant? Number one, there's no cost for our services. If you have an agency that is telling you you have to pay them $1,000 to get their NCLEX review, or pay them $2,000, whatever it might be, if there's recruitment fees, those are red flags. And so joining Avant, you know that there's not going to be any cost for our services as long as you complete the 5,200 hour contract once you arrive here in the United States. We do provide employer-sponsored visas. So as we mentioned earlier, we file the EB3 visa, which means you get a green card, which is permanent residency here in the United States. And the nice thing about this type of visa is you can bring your family. So you're not, coming alone. You're not here on a temporary visa. It is a permanent visa, first step to citizenship if that's something that you're interested in. And so that is something that Avant will actually help facilitate. And we cover a lot of the costs too. Right. Immigration can be pricey.
That's right.
As Alistair mentioned, we have a terrific Avant Transitions program that helps you settle into the U.S. both culturally and clinically. So all those things that you're like, oh, how do I do this? I have no idea what the first step is. Don't worry about it. We are here to help you.
We got you.
Yes. And then we also offer our contracts long-term with one client, or one hospital, meaning we're not a travel agency. So once you come to the US, you can expect to fulfill the entire 5,200 hour contract at a single facility. So that means, you have the chance to kind of get settled in, establish roots, build a community, which is especially great if you have a family. Kids, they want to make friends at their new schools and join a soccer club and not have to change cities every 6 weeks.
Yes, absolutely.
Of course, you do receive that continuous support. So not only through the Avant Transitions program do you get the cultural and clinical coaching, but that kind of remains throughout your entire assignment. So if you ever have questions about nursing, about, how do I do this thing? How do I find that soccer club for my children? You have support here, as well as human resources team. If you have questions about your pay stub, about what it's like at work, or you have questions that a nurse manager could answer, you do have a nurse manager here at Avant to support you throughout the entirety of your contract. And finally, when you reach the end of that contract, we can help with direct staff conversion. So that means if you enjoy the facility that you've been working at, you've really, like we said, established those roots, you want to continue to grow at that facility, we will help you convert and become a direct staff. So you don't have to go and find another job. You can continue working where you've been, and then you're just done with your Avant contract and you're full-fledged USRN on your own.
Getting those roots planted in the US, it's a really big part of this. Myself getting my green card, getting my citizenship, it was such an amazing experience, and I'm just so excited for the rest of you to be able to experience that as well. So yeah, we're super excited to get into it today, and in fact, we have the opportunity for you guys to win some amazing prizes today. So let's take a look. So if you, we are going to have multiple different opportunities for you to answer some little trivia questions today. And for those of you who answer those questions correctly, you'll be entered into the raffle to win some prizes. So what have we got in store?
So first up, we have a resume review. So a resume or CV power up, if you will. If you submit to us your resume, we'll set up a 15-minute review call, kind of give you tips and tricks on what you might want to change or edit to really make your resume stand out for any future applications.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then next we have a USRN career coaching session, which is a one-on-one session with an Avant recruiter. So not necessarily an interview. If you don't feel like you're totally ready to apply, that's okay. You can win this career coaching where we'll talk to you a little bit about what you might want to think about or change or do to reach those career goals that you have. And finally, we have an IELTS speaking coaching session. So this is a 30-minute session where you do a mock test and mock speaking test and receive actual feedback from one of our Avant English program instructors.
Amazing. What a fantastic opportunity. And if you are interested in that English program and getting ready for your English exam for visa screen purposes, stick around, because very shortly we are going to be chatting with Ray from our Avant English program. She's going to be going through all things IELTS, OET, PT, and so much more. So we're going to have a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking with Ray. Stick around.
My name is Mary. I'm from the Philippines.
So I'm Petrona. I'm from Jamaica.
I think being a USRN is the main goal of almost every nurses that is working, because everybody wants to try and live here in the US for good, because here we can work on career growth.
I'm a nurse at heart, something I always wanted to do, and I wanted to be a part of world-class healthcare. I mean, that's in the US.
I chose Avant because I have friends who's become an Avant nurse and was successful now in the US. And I heard that Avant offers assistance in NCLEX.
They're there with you every step of the way. From the day you submit that application to probably even after you finish their assignment, they're there with you. They're always there to help, always there to support you. You're never left alone.
They give us great support, great help, and then offer us this kind of transition program which the others doesn't have. I'm really grateful to Avant that we were able to have this transition program, meet other people from other countries, which we can be friends about, and we can bond with them and eat together. It's like an introduction for living in the US.
Sign up with Avant. There are many other ways to do things out there, but you're sure to be successful with Avant.
Don't be tired of waiting because each one of us has our own journey. Just keep on praying and then we'll reach the dream together.
So that would be my only recommendation. Sign up with Avant.
My name is Mark. I am from Tacloban City, Philippines.
Montaro from Ghana.
I decided to become a USRN because of the job security as well as the benefits and the salary alongside with it. And at the same time, the professional development here in the US is very wide.
And also, as you work, you'll be able to gain enough to be able to support family.
Nursing here is considered as the best profession, like it's the most trusted profession here in the US. And I believe that there's nothing more wonderful than doing what you love, and it's actually being appreciated by people.
You see a patient, you smile to them, they also smile back to you. It's kind of, you get some kind of self-satisfaction, like you've been able to accomplish your task.
Avant is an agency that values communication very well. And aside from that, Avant has the transition program, which is very helpful, especially for us people who will migrate from a country that's very different compared to here.
They basically have answer to every question you might have, and it's like they have a specialty, like someone who knows something doing at any point in time, being it NCLEX preparation, immigration, traveling, everything.
To all the aspiring RNs that want to go here in the United States, what I could advise you is that do not lose hope. Just keep the patience.
They have to come. US has a whole lot of opportunities for them, and then before even this question, I've even encouraged a lot of my colleagues. I've personally helped most of my colleagues enroll into Avant program, but now that you are asking me, I would say they shouldn't think twice. It's a good opportunity, not even for themselves, but the whole family.
And there are days that you will feel that you're uncertain of things, you will cry, and you will feel hopeless, and you will feel that there's no light in the tunnel, but trust me, there will always be light at the end of the tunnel, and Avant is there to help you.
All right, and we're back, and I've got another special guest with us here today. This is Jeremy from our NCLEX team. Welcome, Jeremy.
Hi, guys. How are you? It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. So I'm going to let Jeremy introduce himself a little bit. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Great. So I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for about 8 years, and I've been with Avant for 4 of those years. So I've loved being at this company. My background's in surgical PCU, and I moved here to Avant and became an NCLEX instructor. So that's what I do now.
Okay.
And I'm helping students with passing their NCLEX exam.
So we talked earlier a little bit about the NCLEX review that we offer here at Avant. So I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit more about what is the NCLEX, and maybe walk through like a typical journey that an international nurse would go through when preparing for and taking the NCLEX.
Yeah, sure. So that's a good question. NCLEX stands for the National Council Licensure Examination. And it is the licensure examination that everybody must pass in order to get a license to practice as a registered nurse here in the United States. So American nurses have to pass it. International nurses have to pass it. Everyone has to pass it. It's important. But as far as a journey for Avant nurses with our NCLEX program, After their recruitment phase, they come to us with NCLEX. We start out with an orientation week where you get to meet your instructor. We teach you about the program and show you everything that you need to know as far as getting ready to study for the NCLEX. And then we start with 3 phases. And our program has these 3 phases, which are broken down into body system reviews, case studies, as well as what we call adaptive mock exams, which are there to test your readiness for the exam. Students work through these 3 phases, and while they're doing that, they're also doing additional learning that we offer in our program. To get through these 3 phases, it takes about 7 months in our program, with students mostly testing in about 9 to 10 months after they've started. So that's a little bit of our journey in our program.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, and the really nice thing is you have instructors like Jeremy who are registered nurses and have taken the NCLEX themselves, so they know exactly what you're going through. What would you say is maybe one of the biggest challenges that international nurses are facing when preparing for or taking the NCLEX?
A couple things. Yeah, that's a good question. Number one, we do see a challenge with people balancing their work and their studies. That's always, right? But all of our nurses work full-time at the bedside. That's a requirement to be in the Avant NCLEX program. And so balancing those studies can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but we do work with students to help them do that. Another thing that we see is students have to learn how to do things the American way. And maybe they're used to doing it in their country a certain way, and it's not that that way is wrong.
Right.
It's just that here in America it might be done differently. And for the exam's sake, they have to learn how to do it that American way. So that can be a little bit challenging. And then the last thing is really that this is a critical thinking exam. So through this process, it takes that extra step of asking yourself why, and going that extra step to think a little bit about the question. So it's a different kind of exam, a little bit different to prepare for it, but we're pretty successful at doing that.
Yeah.
So.
And we've heard from a lot of nurses that they feel like this exam can be a bit intimidating. So I wanted to ask you if you have like a favorite, maybe success story, or if there's a nurse that comes to mind that you'd want to share with.
Yeah, there's so many. NCLEX can be a little bit intimidating. It's not an easy exam, but it's not an impossible exam. So that's important for people to realize, is that many people pass NCLEX. So it's difficult, but it's not impossible. But when I think of a student who really did a great job with this program, one does come. There are many that come to mind, but one comes to mind. With this nurse was working on a contract in Saudi Arabia, so was working a lot of overtime. Was working about 5 to 6 days a week, and just had a really challenging schedule with studying. But he approached me, actually, which was really exciting, showed a lot of initiative, and was unhappy with his scores. He did not feel like he was reaching his full potential. And so he approached me. And over the course of about 3 months, we talked and we had some meetings together. And he was very receptive, very teachable, very eager to learn. And he ended up doing everything that we said he should do in this program. So if we told him to do something, he did it right away. And he was very easy to teach. And as a result, he passed the NCLEX exam. One of the things that was interesting about this nurse was that he told me his inspiration for wanting to become a USRN was that he could take his son to an NBA game here in the United States.
Love it.
So every time we talked, we would just kind of refresh that motivation for him. And so when I think of him becoming a USRN, I smile because I imagine he's probably going to be taking his son to an NBA game soon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, we always tell you to like hold on to your why, because the reason why you're doing this is so important. Like, it can be challenging, studying can be a sacrifice. You might have to, miss a birthday dinner or a family event or something like that to get your hours in, but in the end, totally worth it.
Yeah. Absolutely. The why is important.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. So I'm excited because today we have a couple practice NCLEX questions that Jeremy's going to help us walk through. So we'll get the first one up on the screen. And just remember, if you answer these, you will be entered into our raffle to win some of these raffle prizes. And we will be announcing or we will be reaching out to the raffle winners at the end of this event. So Jeremy, take it away.
Great. So we've got our first NCLEX question here. The nurse is providing a medication education to a client on thrombolytic therapy following a acute myocardial infarction. Follow-up would be required by the nurse if the student nurse implemented which of the following? And our options here are A, asking the client if the client feels thirsty, B, double checking IV sites, and C, monitoring clotting studies, finally D, testing stool for occult blood.
So read that question again carefully, but once you think you have the answer, go ahead and drop it in the chat. I already see some questions are coming in, a lot of C's.
A lot of C's.
Yep.
See some right answers here. Good.
I see some D's actually over here in YouTube as well. Okay, we're seeing some variety. I'll give you a couple more seconds. 3, 2, 1. What's the right answer?
Okay, our right answer for this question is A.
Oh, and it came in right there at the end.
Yeah, right
Great
there.
job, Nancy.
So A is our correct answer in this question. If you read this question carefully, it's actually asking us something that we should not be doing. So NCLEX likes to ask tricky questions. And the way they phrased this question was, what's something that we should not be doing? As far as a patient on thrombolytic therapy, we want to monitor for bleeding. That's the most important thing. So by asking if the patient is thirsty or not, that does not monitor for bleeding. That's the only option that does that. All 3 other options instruct the nurse to monitor for bleeding, so they are correct. Okay. So in this situation, our correct answer is A.
So that's why testing strategies are so important to know.
Testing strategies are very important.
All right, we've got one more question. Let's pull that one up.
Question number 2. So the nurse is preparing to administer chemotherapy to a 10-year-old client with leukemia via a central venous access device. Which action should the nurse take to ensure the best outcomes and minimize complications? And our options here are A, flush the CAVD with heparin before chemotherapy, B, apply an antiseptic to the insertion site, C, verify blood return from the CVAD, and D, check the client's platelet count. Okay.
All right, I'm already seeing a lot of questions or answers coming in. So we've got A, B, I see C, D. We are all over the board today.
All over the board.
All right, 5 more seconds. Get those answers in. All right, so Jeremy, what is the right answer here?
Our correct answer is C. So the first thing that we want to do with a patient who is getting medication through a CVAD, especially high-risk medications like chemotherapy, we want to verify patency, okay? That's going to be very important. So the only option here that verifies patency is number C, okay? We're going to verify blood return from our CVAD. So that was our answer is C there.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, for all the insight into our NCLEX program, for a little taste of what that NCLEX review might look like with some of those practice questions and really kind of understanding how to answer the questions. And so if you participated and answered some of those questions, we will be picking those raffle winners here shortly at the end. But stay tuned. We have a lot more to come. But again, if you have not applied yet, now is your time. This session's almost over, but we are, of course, performing this event all day, doing interviews. Our recruitment team is still on the phones, and they will stay on the phones throughout the entire day. So make sure to submit your application now. We are so excited to review and hopefully have you enroll in our NCLEX review program very soon. So we'll stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more exciting trivia questions.
I was an international nurse. I also dreamed about to come to the United States to be a nurse. And I was concerned about how to make that happen. So when I went to the social media and I saw Avant showing so many successful stories of nurses all around the world that coming here to the United States and being successful, that made me take the leap. Hi, my name is Daniel Egipto. I'm coming from Brazil. When I finished my contract with Avant Healthcare, I felt more prepared to live my life as an RN here, a registered nurse here in the United States. I built up lifelong connections that helped me out on this new process. I felt more confident, and then after the contract, I was able to travel around the United States. I had an experience to work in Maine, New York, Massachusetts, and now I'm here in Florida. So I'm living the dream. I'm living this new experience of being a US RN, and I'm enjoying so much. So now being a US citizen, I feel that I'm part of the game. I can help the country to develop as a healthcare worker. I definitely, I'm looking for leadership, how to better prepare myself to help people. Now I can vote, now I have my passport, I'm so excited. What stood out to me was the cultural transition here in Florida. As an international nurse, we are always questioning how it's gonna be our life in a new country, when we go to the hospital, facing new technologies, facing new ways to talk to the patients. And when I was here during the transitional culture program here in Orlando, I could have those answers. So people were here guiding me the whole process, showing me the new technology, how to deal with the cultural changes by being a US healthcare worker. So that program definitely stood out to me. For any nurse, international nurse who wants to apply through Avant Healthcare, take from me. I was an international nurse. I also dreamed about to come to the United States to be a nurse, and I was concerned about how to make that happen. So when I went to the social media and I saw Avant showing so many successful stories of nurses all around the world that coming here to the United States and being successful, that made me take the leap. So you just need to trust the process, apply today and start your journey and dreaming about coming to the United States, and not just dreaming, make that happen. Apply today.
And welcome back to today's live hiring event. Thank you so much for spending the time with us today. We are just thrilled to have you all here. There has been hundreds of you out there watching today. And just because we're wrapping up this stream does not mean that that our day is done. Absolutely not. You all day today, our recruitment team is going to be there looking out for your application. So if you've not done it already, get it in right now. Make it happen. They are waiting for you. If you're looking for a sign, this is it. All right. What do you say? We have a few more trivia questions, shall we?
I love trivia. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So these are going to be general trivia questions. Remember, get those answers in and you have a chance to get some prizes. All right. First question. Approximately how many languages are spoken at home in the USA? Is it A, 150, B, 200, C, 300, or D, 350? Ooh.
All right. I see my native language on this little
we see Swedish on there. Fantastic, fantastic. All right, so Marine's saying A, Shamela's saying C. We're getting a few answers in there. Miss Ree saying C on YouTube. Good to see you guys.
A lot of A's.
A lot of people. Having a guess. All right.
C. John said C.
Let's have a look. All right. Okay, so we'll give it a couple more seconds. 3, 2, 1. The answer is D, 350 languages spoken at home. Isn't that incredible?
I'm honestly not surprised. I mean, the U.S. is founded on a culmination of a bunch of different cultures. So
Absolutely.
Just think about it.
Absolutely. That's unbelievable. Fantastic stuff. All right. So our next question is, the American holiday of Thanksgiving is typically celebrated by eating which food? Is it A, lamb, B, turkey, C, hot dogs, or D, sushi?
Ooh,
what do we do? What do
I love Thanksgiving.
Love
Honestly,
a bit of Thanksgiving.
I would eat all of those on Thanksgiving.
I would eat all of them every day if I could. All right, so
D, sushi, B, turkey.
I see mine, Lou, saying B, saying B. Maureen saying B. Nana is saying D. We've got some B's. All right, let's have a look. All good answer, Nani. I'm not sure that's the correct one, but I like your style of thinking. All right, let's have a look at those answers. B. The answer is, of course, B. Turkey.
Turkey. That is the typical Thanksgiving dish.
Followed by a nap.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I love a bit of turkey on Thanksgiving. All right. Our next question. Which of these is not a U.S. state?
Tricky.
Is it Alaska, Washington, D.C., Hawaii, or Delaware?
Oh, those answers came in quick.
Yes. People feel very confident about this one. I'm seeing a lot of B's in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of people getting their answers in.
Washington, D.C. Oh, I see a D.
Okay.
Delaware's okay.
Let's have a look.
Hawaii.
All right. So let's have a look at that answer. Answer is, of course, B. There it is, the nation's capital. It is not a state. So very interesting stuff. All right, our next question. All right, so approximately how many people live in the USA? Is it 250 million, 340 million, 430 million, or 520 million people? How many people live in the United States?
Again, a lot of quick answers coming in. A lot of confidence here. I see D, D, B. Princess says D. Moby says C. Okay, we got variety again.
All right, let's have a look. The answer is B, 340 million people. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I come from the UK. We have about 60 million people.
Yeah. Sweden's got about 10. We finally hit the double digits in millions.
Well, hey, 10 million people? That's unbelievable. I think there might be more people living in Florida than there are living in Sweden. That's unbelievable. Fantastic stuff. All right, on our next question. In what year did the USA declare independence from Great Britain? Was it A, 1676? Was it B, 1776? C, 1876? Or D, 1976?
I'd bet a wager it's 76.
76. it was certainly 76, but which 76? 1976 sounds a little bit early to me, but I'm not sure. All right, let's have a look. Get those answers in. Okay, I'm seeing A's. I'm seeing C's. Yeah, let's get those answers in. Very recognizable date to Americans.
To an American,
I had to learn this one on my citizenship exam. It's still in there. All right, the answer is B, 1776. George Washington and all that.
Yep.
A lot of different stuff going on. But we got some good answers in there. Fantastic stuff.
And a lovely holiday from it. July 4th, right around the corner.
Right around the corner. We're about 3 weeks away. Can't wait. Gonna have my hot dogs.
Oh, yeah. Fireworks.
Oh, absolutely. It's my favorite time of the year. All right. And so that about wraps us up for today. So we have been spooling through all of your answers today, and we've picked those 13 winners. So all of you out there who got those correct and were picked in the raffle, will be reaching out to you, and you will get those answers shortly. All right, we are so excited for the rest of the day to unfold. If you've not got that application in yet, do it right now. Do it right now. Apply, apply. Our recruitment team, they are out there ready and waiting. You can see they are on the phones. They just want you. They want you to apply, and they want to chat to you ASAP. So do it right now. We are wrapping up the live section of this. But as we said, we are going to be ready for you all day today. So Anna, what do you think? Should we go say hi to the recruiters?
I would love to.
Let's do it. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care and get that application in. Apply now.
See you over there.
See you over.